Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Imperfect Image podcast with myself, Jordan, and...
Ashley. Episode 19 already. Can you believe it?
It's crazy, hey? And I was saying, because the last one was Trav's Science Lab, and I was saying we should do something special for 20, but I don't know what special would be. I think we should just do like a strip show, because since we never do it together anymore, be like, heads up, folks, we're both naked.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it being a podcast, is that no one actually has to see it.
And then nobody will listen past 20.
Exactly.
So, what's a shakin'?
Well, we're doing this during the workday again, which seems to be a good hour to carve out. So, a little bit caught between work right now, but all is well. We finally have new people, and that's, a disaster to begin with, and hopefully someday means that I'll actually be less stressed at work.
When you say new people, you mean new people at work, not new people on the podcast, right?
Just new people at work, yeah. No new people on the podcast. We already are trying not to talk over each other. Can you imagine if there were more of us?
I had a thought today. I was going to text B-Rad and say he should come by at lunch and try to be on the podcast. But like you just said, it's actually hard enough to not talk over you on the other end, let alone having multiple people and people who've never tried it before.
Well, I find it very hard to make sure I'm not jumping in and talking. I can just imagine the chaos.
Are you saying Brad has a simple mind?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Maybe too complex.
Oh, man. Dodge that bullet.
Nice try, though. Yeah, exactly. And you? What are you up to today, mister?
I have the day off work on a Tuesday.
Woo, midday week day off.
You did know about that, right?
I was going to say midday week off, but no, that doesn't make any sense.
No,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I had a guy cancel on me. He had a biking accident. Nothing serious, but he couldn't come for a workout. So I took the other guy that I had today and said, hey, why don't you come a different day?
Don't you love being an adult and being able to make those choices?
Well, I do. I like... You know what? This episode is going to be about the things that we like in life, because I've been thinking a lot about that lately. What actually really makes me happy? I like controlling my own schedule.
Unlike me, who's a slave to the regular hours.
Yeah. See,
yeah, no, I hear you.
If I feel like someone else is controlling my life, I can't do it. So if I'm ever booked for plans or something like that, and I'm just not wanting to do it, it'll just control me for the day.
You feel stressed that you have to meet a commitment and wish you didn't have it controlling you.
Yeah, so, I think this is something that happens for introverted people in general, where they kind of get excited about canceling plans. So they get invited to a party, and then it's actually better to cancel and stay home from the party than it is to go have fun with your friends at the party.
Totally get that. And as you know, I'm someone who has a very booked life. I have a calendar where I look weeks in advance sometimes and book things. And it's just the way I've been and continue to be in my life with what I'm trying to juggle, I guess. But what you're saying makes total sense to me, because sometimes if I can just find a little piece in there of a break I wasn't expecting, or something falls through, the relief, and not because I didn't necessarily want to do that thing, but just that feeling of, I can just go home and put my feet up and there's no pressure. It can be an amazing thing.
See, you like that here and there. I like that every day. I like to go to work, do a good job, come home, and that's it. It doesn't mean, like last night I was sitting there watching comedians in cars getting coffee, and I was having a great time, and then Lauren gets up and she starts watering the grass and watering the flowers and deadheading the flowers and weeding the flower beds and cooking and cleaning up the fridge and taking food from bigger containers and condensing it into smaller containers. And I'm just sitting there going, that seems so stressful. I just want to watch my show. Not that she was interrupting me watching my show, but I've just got very few things in life that I actually need to do. And it's great.
Well, I think the wrong person hears that and thinks it sounds depressing, or it sounds depressing for their life because they're thinking they're built a different way. But you're right. I think there's a beauty in that. And I think my life, being as busy as it is, does end up stressing me out a
Yeah.
lot. But then I find I've operated that way for so long now that actually carving out the moments to not be busy is hard. And a
Yeah.
lot of it is self-inflicted.
I think almost all of it is self-inflicted.
Yeah. But where I guess I feel like I've lost a little bit of the control is get into commitment or responsibility, or you have obligations that at the time thing, and then you realize, okay, I kind of created this. I feel out of control of it. Kind of like what you said. Like when you set up plans, you were in control. But once they're set, you don't feel in control anymore. It's like it has this weird grip on you.
See, this is something I actually talk about a lot in my profession because people are just so stressed. They find every excuse that they can't make it to the gym. So, oh, the kids' schedule is too busy. Oh, work is too busy. Oh, I've got family things going on. I've got volunteering. I've got lunches. I've got coffees. My schedule is too busy. I can't make it to the gym. And usually I just look at them and I go, how many of those things did you plan? And what would you actually like to you? Because if you like doing all those things, if that makes you happy, then go for it. I'm not going to bug you a whole bunch about it. Remember, I'm trying to make happy people, not just, super thin people with 8-packs or something like that. I just want people to be satisfied in life, because if they're stressed by everything, you're not healthy anyways. But people miss that part. They try to busy, and they miss that I need a few hours a day just for me.
I think the mistake in that comment is not that they can't. It's a choice. And I realize that every choice I make to do something essentially leads to a choice not to do something else.
Yeah.
But where to balance that and how to deal with it when unexpected things come your way is, I guess, what I always work on. I have a fairly set work schedule, but, I find I didn't anticipate the mental tax of having been short-staffed for months would take, and the industry pressures would take. And so I'm finding now I'm craving more of those moments where I don't have somewhere to be right after work because I just need the relaxation. But if things were going super easy at work, I might feel more like scheduling dinners and going out and rushing from here to there. So sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, and then you just get stuck in a cycle. And that's kind of how I think I end up.
You know what I'm finding funny with my free time right now is I feel like I just fall into little routines. Like I come home, maybe clean out the dishwasher, something like that. I do try to do something productive every day. Like yesterday I came home and it was cut the grass. I had to get that done. Didn't even realize it was going to rain. I didn't even look at the clouds. And about 3/4 of the way through doing the lawn, I start hearing thunder and shit. And I'm like, oh, the train's close by. That makes sense. No. It was actually the sky was trying to kill me. Especially since I have an electric lawnmower. So I'm plugged into my house. I know there's a little fray on the cord as well. So I'm thinking, well, this is it. This is the end. Anyways, I try to do something productive every day, but then I do just sit down and I flip on the TV, and half the time I just put on something like the Food Network that I just mindlessly take in. It's not that I don't enjoy it, but it isn't really adding to my life at all. Whereas I could put on movies or a TV show I really like, and I could be getting content for a podcast like this. Because then the other part is, I've found something that I really, really enjoy in this whole podcasting thing. That's why I have to Real Fitness for Real People. But then I get stuck just in that repetitive watching the Food Network, watching diners, drive-ins, and dives, which is okay, but it's not me putting effort into something I actually care about. I could come up here and record episodes, or, like I said, do some research or whatever, and probably make these things better and better and more content, and it would be amazing. And who knows, maybe it would actually get somewhere, and people would actually recommend us to other people. But sitting on the couch and watching Food Network seems to win out.
It's an interesting thing I think every single person can relate to, because I don't think any person, no matter what side of the spectrum they fall on with plans versus downtime, feels like they have it exactly right. And I know I'm always searching for ways to do it better, ways to eliminate stress, ways to do everything I want. It's just a time thing, right? I mean, we're so overwhelmed by choice in our society. There's a lot of pressure to be more, do more, see more, and a desire to fill your time that, I think we're all searching for how to make that work, and we all have very different viewpoints on it.
You got a great point there on we have almost too much choice. And I shouldn't even say almost too much choice. We just have too much choice. Like, I turn on my phone and I've got the entire world and all of the knowledge that's ever been out there in my phone. I can just pop on the internet, thanks Google, and I can do anything I feel like doing, right? We make enough money, we're free enough, we've got information, we can do anything. Like, I had a thought a few years ago where I just went, I could go to Russia today. I could just book a flight and just go to Russia, right? I could tell work I'm taking a week off. I probably wouldn't get fired, and I could just spend some money on my visa and off I go. There's that much choice.
Yeah.
And then we just have to manage what the fuck we actually feel like doing at that moment, because it really is exactly what you feel like doing at that moment.
And that changes, and I think life changes for you. Like I just said earlier, what work is for you today, and this is very applicable to you with how your schedule fluctuates, but how you feel today because of how work is might be different in a month. And if you are looking at commitments on the side or trying to devote extra time to a hobby or whatever it is that's important to you, how you make room for adjustments when other things in life happen.
It would be so strange for us to be in a world where there was necessity in every move you made. Like, if we went back and we were maybe not hunting for our food, but farming for our food, right? Farms were the only place that food came from. So if you weren't out farming the land, you were in making product from what you farmed, whether it be to sell or to consume yourself. It was all about trying to feed yourself or trying to make a home or keep your family safe or whatever it is. That's just all done for us now. If I want food, I just go to the store and get food. I come home, I eat, done. If I, keeping the family safe, well, we got locks on our doors, we've got houses, I got dogs, you have alarm systems, we don't have to worry about that stuff. But because there's nothing for us to worry about, it's just empty, free space. We just kind of float through life.
I think it'd be interesting to put this out to our listeners today and see if anybody wants to chime in with any comments or tips on how they view this in their life, how they set their schedule, how they protect their time, how they avoid being too busy or avoid not being busy enough. So maybe we ask for some feedback today and see if anybody wants to share their comments, which we could share on the next podcast if they do.
Do you remember what our email is?
I sure do. It's imperfectimagepod@gmail.com. And again, we'd love to feature your comment.
Yeah,
maybe we could be getting some real exciting things.
It would be cool. the other thing I'd be interested in is hearing what people wish they were doing, right? So I started listening to a bunch of podcasts, and then I went, fuck, that's actually what I'd like to do. I don't want to, well, it's not that I don't want to do my job anymore, but I feel like there's something creative that I could be doing, something like this. And that's why I have the other podcast as well, is to combine the two. The passion for helping people and the passion for talking, basically.
Yeah. I think even the way you've handled doing 2 podcasts shows a creative element as well, because you have your professional podcast, which has an element of creativity, but again is kind of focused on what you do day in, day out. And then for this one, you're allowed to just kind of take it wherever you want. So yeah, that's another great question.
Yeah, so if you have comments on how you manage your time, basically, being if you feel stressed, how do you get out of that stress? Or if you're feeling empty, what do you fill that time with? And then also, the way I would put it is, what do you actually want to do? Like, what really fuels you? So if you're out there and you're working at a convenience store or something, what would you actually like to do? No money, no time, nothing like that. Just what would actually make you happy?
Yeah, and there's your chance to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
Let's start a little bit more interactive content. I think that would be awesome.
I think that'd be great. It saves us from actually planning out a podcast, which we didn't do today.
Yeah, we just like to wing things. And I talk about all the things that make you happy, and then somehow I got on a tangent about essentially being stressed out, and here we are. So we just go wherever we need to go.
It's a free world.
So what are you doing with your fabulous mid-week day off?
I woke up at 8 a.m., which was pretty crazy. Although I stayed up a little late. I was watching Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, things that really don't add anything to my life, but I guess they're fun. What did I do when I got up? I made coffee. Yeah.
You made some awesome quiche-looking things.
Yeah, I made some egg muffin bite things. Muffin because they're in muffin containers. Egg because there's egg in it. And thingies because I don't know what the hell to call it. Maybe like a quiche. Maybe like a frittata, if you will. And then we had some burger in the fridge. So I made a curry.
Did you say you had burger and you made curry?
Yes, that's what I said.
Wasn't the direction I thought you were going to take it, but
where did you think I was going to go?
Burgers.
I
had
was going to do burgers since they were already formed into burger patties. However, I turned on the barbecue, and then when I went to put the burgers on, actually when I went to scrape off the barbecue, I realized it wasn't hot because we're out of propane.
And so you improvised.
Do you want to hear exactly how this went? You want me to recount the morning?
I do, actually.
Okay. So Jordan wakes up and Jordan gets this great idea. He's going to cook the burgers, mostly because he looked in the fridge and they were looking back at me and it just seemed like the thing to do. So I go and turn on the barbecue. Click, click. Lights up. But we have one burner that doesn't really light up very well on the far right. So I usually have to kind of blow the flames from the other 3 burners into the one burner. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to leave that one off. Are you enjoying this story so far?
I am. It's very detailed.
Good.
And it really paints a visual picture here.
So I've got 3 burners on. I've got the lid closed. I wander back inside and start my little egg concoction. Slice up some veg, some onion, some peppers, some broccoli, some carrots. Nice tiny little pieces. You might say diced. I diced them. And then after that I thought, you know what? While those are going, I could go put those burgers on, or at least scrape off the grill. So Jordan gets out his little scraper, And he gets out there and he goes, scrapey, 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 bangy, 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 scrapey, scrapey, scrapey. And then realized that there's no heat on my hands. So I checked and I was like, oh, fuck, did I turn the propane off? That would be silly. And then I went, how the hell would it have lit in the first place if I had turned the propane off? So I wiggled the tank around and realized it's pretty light. No propane. Well, shit balls, what do I do now? So I go back inside, finish up the little egg mixture, put the veggies in the pan, or in the muffin pan, I should say. Put the egg on top, do a little mixy, throw them in the oven, and I go, well, fuck, I've already got a seasoned pan going on here. Why don't I do the burgers in that? So, in go the burgers. 4 at a time, 8 in total.
Can you do that sound again? It makes me hungry for a burger. Your sizzle is the real deal.
So we'll get back to this story. A coworker of mine yesterday said she was going to Boogie Burger. You ever heard of that?
I've been there once.
How did you think it was?
Long time ago.
Was it good?
I remember when I went a long time ago, I felt like it was scuzzy, and I think it's supposed to be, but it didn't make me fall off my seat. I think I need to give it another try, though, because it's supposed to be great.
I guess so. A few people said that. I didn't believe it. I said, send me a picture. She sent me a picture of the burger, and it just kind of looked like a burger. Bun, burger.
Yes.
Nothing special.
I don't remember anything great. I think I'd gotten a milkshake, and the milkshake didn't taste great, and I'm like, okay, I should have just went to Peter's.
I don't know. I need it to be proven to me, but I also don't want to spend the money on a burger I'm not actually going to enjoy. So probably not going to do the Boogie Burger thing. It's too far away for me, too.
Edmonton Trail is not in your realm?
No, it really isn't. I guess unless Lauren stopped on the way home or something like that, but then it'd be cold and it probably wouldn't be good anyways. So, burgers go in the pan. 4 at a time, 8 in total. And then about, 10 minutes after I put them in, 5 minutes aside or so, I'm like, oh, I'll cut into one of these and see if they're cooked through, because they're getting pretty dark on the outside. No. Complete fucking raw in the middle. So I'm going, well, son of a bitch. Like, when you get something cooked on the outside, but then the inside's raw, but I already had stuff in the oven, so I didn't want to put it in the oven. Plus, I had more burgers to do in the pan, so I went, I don't want to get another pan. I don't really want to fill up the oven. How am I going to do this? You know what I'm going to do? Slice it up, bitch. So I sliced these mofos up. A little ching, 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 ching. That was the knife. And kind of made more like if you were doing a lasagna or something and you took the sausage out of the wrapper and it's just kind of ground up. It's not really ground beef, but it's a little more chunky.
Yeah,
with the chunky.
Okay.
I didn't know this podcast was going to turn into a cooking show.
It feels very, very real. Like,
So,
I'm ready to get out a pan and follow along here.
Beauty of this being that it's already pre-seasoned. I don't have to season this fucking burger whatsoever. It's done. So cut it up, smaller pieces, cooks faster, cooks more evenly. Boom. Throw that in a bowl. Next burgers, boom. Slice them up. No problem. Now I've got a whole shit ton of burger. What do? Remember, Lauren said, why don't you make a curry to go on top of those mashed potatoes in the fridge? Oh, fuck people. This is all working out. So, burgers out. Curry's in. Oh, shit, no. Pan was dark as shit. So I'm like, I got burnt shit on. What do? Beef stock. Boom. Deglaze that shit. Didn't have any wine. I would have used wine. But then I probably would have had a glass of wine. And this was like 9 a.m. So we don't need to go down that road yet. Plus I have to golf later. So, 1 leads to 5. And 5 leads to canceling. And I just don't need to be that guy.
No, exactly.
This is not a plan that I would feel good about canceling. So,
No.
deglazing, like that, and a little curry paste in there, boom. Little onion in there, boom. What the hell else went in? I don't know, some fucking curry stuff. So I make this up, get it nice and mixed in and all that. It's sitting in there, it's loving, it's feeling. And then some tomatoes. I don't know, some cooking time. That's about it. What do you think?
So have you tasted your burger curry?
You know what I did before we started recording? I went and turned it off so it could cool down. So by the
Hmm.
time we're done, it'll be ready for tasting. Because I don't like tasting things overly hot. Like when I said Lauren bringing home burgers and then they'll be cold, I didn't want that. I would rather something be a little more cold than a little more burning the shit out of my tongue. I don't understand on how
And
these cooking
why?
shows. What's that?
Said unlike your wife,
Oh
he
God, I don't.
ever.
I don't even know if she tastes anything anymore. I think she just puts it in her mouth and is like, "Oh, yum, 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 yum," and then
That's how
throws
she
something
stays
else
in
in there.
such good shape. She
Yeah,
has no taste buds left, so she doesn't actually care.
it's the same thing pulling pans out of the oven when they're scorching ass hot. Like she'll get a blister on her finger, and I'll be, "Oh God, are you okay?" I don't feel it. There's just no pain
I know it
receptors in
feels
her body.
superhuman. Yeah. For the rest of us normal people that can't be awesome in terms of heat. But anyway,
We call us normies.
normies. Okay, there you go.
I can't remember what that's from, but I'm
Well,
just gonna make it my own.
you can say it was you. It originated right here, right now.
Us normies who need our taste buds to actually taste stuff, so we try not to burn them off.
Very interesting. I have never heard of a hamburger curry, and I think it would be right up my alley. Plus, like you said, if you're putting it on a mashed potato base, it's almost like you've done, like, in a way, a shepherd's pie with a curry flair.
Didn't even
That's how
think of
I'm
that.
thinking right
All
now.
I need is peas.
Exactly. If you did a little pea, you'd be ready to go.
Um,
So you're golfing this afternoon.
yeah, that's kind of where I was gonna go. Funny we were thinking about that. So I think
I
since we've
know you've been
recorded,
busy.
yeah, well, since we've recorded last, the two of us, I think I've had two different tournaments, and I've got one coming up again in 2 weeks. So,
Oh,
you know,
which one's that?
the club championship.
Oh, wow.
So
I guess that would be coming up
I
soon.
just played the Open, which I it's it's annoying. Golf just seems to be fading away. There's nobody who wants to commit to it anymore. And that's members, that's public, that's everybody. So
Right.
I was getting frustrated because I'm looking at all the people out for this tournament. This was the Open last weekend, and I know most of them. There's a few from other courses, but I just thought I remembered days when the whole clubhouse was full for people in every tournament. And now it
Right.
seems like, we play our round, everybody from the tournament comes in, and there's plenty of free space in there. Just frustrates me. But what got me even more was when I was walking off the course, there were a bunch of members going onto the course. So they just opted to not play the fucking tournament. It was $80 a piece. Of all the people at the golf course, I'm probably least likely to fork out extra money after I've paid my membership. But I play at a fucking course. Like, I'm a member of this course. I'm a part owner of the course. Would you not think that you'd want to support the goddamn course
Yeah.
instead of watching everybody go out for their round and then, or sorry, for their tournament, and then going out for your round after because you just don't want to play a fucking tournament? Like, suck a wiener.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting concept to, think about how golf is changing as well in terms of what that looks like in the future when you're seeing people unable to commit, like you said, to their club. There's a lot of discussion about replacing numbers in golf now that, seniors are getting old, I guess. And I don't understand that, if that's really happening, because I know a lot of people that I know that have kids that talk about taking their kids out to golf. So why is golf dying off, or is it not? And I just hear things that suggest that it is. I don't know what the answer to that is.
I think there's a few things. People just, well, as we were talking about at the start of the show, people don't put time into that stuff anymore. Everyone's too busy. So yeah, you might be taking your kid out to golf, but it's like, get there, golf, leave, boom, home, hockey, soccer, dance, piano. Then the parents have a dinner, and then it's just bam, 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 bam. Bedtime for 3 hours, up, do it again, and then heart disease. Um, the second thing, I know my brother was saying, so he's the president up at our course right now, and he was saying, him and I are the only two kids of a member that are now members. So, of all the kids that I grew up golfing with, nobody's bought a membership. Partly because I think the world is expensive in a different way now. There are more things to spend your money on. So there's, cable TV, internet, phones. You got to have your Netflix. You got to have your Crave TV. You got to have your organic food. You got to have your vegan food. There's more to spend money on. I think it used to be, I got my mortgage. I've probably already paid off my car because they're not that expensive. Gas, yeah, but you're not driving all over the place. You probably work a little closer to home. There's multiple things that made that just a little bit cheaper of a lifestyle. So people could go out and spend their money on golf. The other thing that seems to be a problem is Groupon. They're able to offer rounds so cheap that you could probably just play Groupon rounds, as long as you're reasonably flexible with your schedule, and actually save money instead of getting a membership somewhere. People want that variety. They want to play 19 different courses a year rather than playing 38 rounds at one course. Which, when you see the people who actually get really good at the game, they tend to have that home course, right? They have somewhere they go to practice, they have somewhere where they play often, and then every once in a while they'll go out and play something else, whether it's a tournament or like I went and played Silverwing the other day just because it was a convenience for the other two people that were playing. They don't do the home base thing anymore. So I don't know personally if it's golf's dying. I think the old system of golf is dying. There's this new system of, playing a little bit more around and about, trying to save a little bit of money, playing 9, all those sorts of things. It's not the way it used to be.
Maybe in general, given everything that we've talked about already, and I think it is funny that all these things somewhat tie together, but maybe we're just all less committed to things.
Yep.
And, a sense of community is essentially part of the reason why you might buy into a membership. You mentioned some of the others, and I focus on that. Your family went to Carstairs every year. I grew up on Carstairs. I don't know anybody at Carstairs anymore, but I mean, just based on how you guys always viewed that course, if I were ever going to get a membership somewhere, it would be there. But if you didn't ever have somebody in your life that influenced you to spend your time and your money on a course that matters to you, and you always jumped around as a kid, like you said, you hit every Groupon deal, you might not even know what that feels like. But there's a huge difference there.
To me, it's kind of like playing sports. Like when we started playing soccer, I really wanted that feel of you're part of a club. Like this isn't just a, once a week team. I wanted people to feel like they were part of that organization almost. So they belonged to something. There was something bigger than just kicking a ball around with friends. And I worked really hard at that for a bunch of years until I realized that when I play soccer, I'm a fucking asshole. So I kind of stopped that. But I get the same thing with golf. I want to be a part of something, right? I don't want to just go out, play, go home, forget about it. I kind of want to be able to go out, play. When I bring guests, I'm actually really proud of that. Like I'm bringing 2 guests today, which is revenue for the golf course, which means that I'm not only supporting them just with my membership and buying too much beer there, I'm supporting them with, bringing yourself, bringing your man, bringing Lauren's family, bringing Lauren. I'm doing something for that club, rather than just paying money for an endeavor.
So the more important question is, who do you find to golf with you in the middle of a work day?
You know, Ashley, I've got a lot of people in my life.
Apparently, you just have this random day off and boom,
I've got
ready
an
to
uncle
go.
of the family. He's coming with me. And then actually one of my clients who works up north and then back down here for a few days for, I guess, not weekends, but you know what I mean? They're up there for a while, they're down here for a while, etc. So he was available. So that's, that, like I just said, that's
It's
two
cool.
guests on just a random Tuesday afternoon. It's two green fees that the golf course was not going to have before that.
Yeah, and you have a huge sense of pride over your course because I've golfed with you many times there and I see that. And I've golfed with you at other courses too, but I mean, I get why Carstairs feels like home to you. And, I totally see what you mean about bringing people in and the effects of it. But it's like a lot of things that you see disappearing or going under, and it's not really for anything more than a lot of the reasons that you stated already. So maybe we're just changing as a society in terms of our loyalty, our ability to commit to things, and it'll be interesting how certain things that are affected, like golf, potentially adapt to that to ensure that it doesn't die out completely.
I
Like,
don't think it
how
will.
heartbroken would you be if it did?
Well, there was a time when it was very likely that the course wouldn't exist anymore, that the Carstairs Golf Club would just go under and the land would probably go to developers or something like that. And that was friggin' weird because, as you said, I grew up there, right? It
Yeah.
was not quite as much as my brother, but I grew up Saturday, Sunday. It was a very likely reality that I'd be out at the golf course. And it wasn't a, wake up, rush to the golf course, play, rush home sort of thing. It was kind of like a wake up, go to the golf course, play around, hit some balls, have some lunch, putt, have a snack, have a pop, maybe go out again. Like while
Yeah.
kids go to summer camp, me and my brother went to the golf course. So to think that that place wouldn't exist anymore was really strange. So it's worked out.
Yeah.
Things are going better. They're making money again. But that's where the world does change, right? I don't think that golf is going to go away. I think it's just going to adapt a little bit. Like they've talked about potentially having 12-hole golf courses. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw another trend of 9-hole courses opening up, as well as I think the restaurants are going to change. Like I think I said before on this show, at Carstairs they now have like a pork belly grilled cheese sandwich. They have a short rib, like a braised short rib sandwich. They change things up. They've even got some craft beers there now, that sort of thing. The tournaments are changing where Wild Rose was there for one of the tournaments that we played. There's
Right.
one where I feel like it's a brewery in Red Deer, I think, and I could be getting that wrong. Maybe it's like Didsbury or something like that, but they're coming out and sponsoring a tournament, and they're going to have drinks on different holes and samples and that kind of thing. I think there's going to be different ways to bring people out to golf courses that isn't just playing the game, having a membership, paying a green fee, etc. There's going to be more to it. Someone even said, what if we, actually this was my dad if you can believe it, what if we had a frisbee golf night? So like once a month, you come out, we set up a little, do they call them nets, something like that? And you have frisbee golf. Or
Yeah.
Heather Glenn tried that soccer golf thing, which I don't think exists anymore, but maybe it does. But there's going to be different ways to use golf courses, different things in the restaurants, more to bring people's interest to the club rather than just come and play golf.
Right. Yeah, and I guess if you can be innovative and stay ahead of it, then, you might be the business that survives over the next one. But it's an interesting thing. And, I guess it just shows whether it's golf or, anything else in your community that you love. You can say you love it, but if you're not going to go out and put your money where your mouth is and support it, you shouldn't be shocked when it goes away. I feel that a lot with restaurants. I cannot believe how many really good quality restaurants in this city go out of business that seem to be doing fine. And I think, oh, it's such a shame. I can't believe they went out of business. And then I think, well, you had tons of choice. You exercised that choice and went to a whole bunch of different places. Did you really support that place? No? Okay, it wasn't that important to you. There's so many things like that where if you're not going to support it, and you often can't, yeah, somebody's got to.
Well, restaurants are a funny one as well because there's just so many now, right? There's so many people in the world, meaning that there's so many jobs in the world, meaning that there's so many people spending money on everything. So unless you are the hottest, newest restaurant, you have to find a way, just like I was saying about a golf club, to keep people coming back in. But as soon as you're not the cool thing anymore, there's another cool thing out there, and that's going to make a lot of money right off the bat, taking away from your revenue. So I've said this about, yoga studios, and I can't even think of it, but I call it like trendy fitness studios. So they pop up, they make a ton of money right away, and then they just disappear. I've even thought, in my profession, what I need to do is find a shtick, right? Find kind of a cool thing, open up a shop down on 17th Avenue or something, get a ton of people to come in, but I would need to have something where there's very little overhead, so very little equipment, very little staff, staff that I wouldn't have to pay a whole bunch, equipment that I wouldn't have to replace all the time and maintain. And basically you open up, you're there for 6 months, you get in all the newspapers, you get on TV, you get a ton of people coming in, and then as soon as you see a drop in the revenue, close it. Done. On to the next thing.
I think that's a pretty decent model to follow.
But it's a very selfish model, right? People go into the restaurant business and they want to open this restaurant that's going to be there for 20 or 30 years or something of the sort. They want to open that place that, like you were saying, people can come and support. I just don't know that people do that as much anymore. So unless you have a shtick, like I was saying about golf courses having, a really different restaurant or craft beers or cool tournaments, I don't know if you can manage in the world anymore.
Maybe it just changes the entire view of being a small business owner or, whatever type of business you're in. Maybe it just changes going forward. Maybe the new reality is exactly what you said, that most endeavors are short term, and if you can't stay on top of the trend. But I mean, there's a sadness to that.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't make me happy to say that, but I think there are some types of businesses, and the two you've mentioned, like the fitness ones and the restaurants, are exactly that, where you almost have to do that to survive. There's a small amount of nostalgia, holding on to something that used to be great in the past. But even a couple weeks ago, I went for a business lunch to Caesar's Steakhouse, which you and I have a lot of history with. That was somewhere your family always liked to go. And I went there, and it was for lunch. I'd never been for lunch before. But the people I was with said, wow, this place used to be packed at lunch. And there was hardly anyone in there. And it was like, Caesar's to me seems like one of those institutions of Calgary. But the comment just made it sound like, I don't know, there's all these new trendy places downtown. People are booking their reservations elsewhere. I had never, ever had anyone suggest it before for lunch. You let something like that go, and, you choose something new and trendy one time over, the Caesars you used to go to, and before you know it, a place like that could close.
Yeah, it very well could. I mean, like you say, that's an institution of Calgary. That's kind of a mainstay. And when all those mainstays start dropping off, then you know what it is? It's fucking YouTube, right? It's YouTube and Instagram. It just, boom, look at this. Okay, now look at this. Okay, now look at this. Put your money here. Put your money there. Boom, 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 boom. And there's nothing about going back and watching your favorite movie 20 times. Like, I used to go to Rogers Video, we'd get a movie, and if it was funny, we'd probably get that movie 3 weeks in a row. We'd just go back, renew it, watch it again. Go back, renew it, watch it again. Be kind, please rewind, watch it again. But now it's like, it's Netflix, right? As soon as you're done it, it's off your list and you're on to the next thing. It's the same thing with restaurants. It's like, oh man, that was good. Okay, what's there? Okay, what's over there?
Next?
What's around the corner? What's next? I'm never going back to that place, even though it was good. I like 10-Foot Henry, but I've only been there once, maybe twice. I think it was just the once. Mm-hmm. Because there's another thing to try down the road. You said you just don't sit and support that one thing you really love anymore. And that's where I go back to what we were talking about. The input that we wanted from people is I want to know what those people really care about. I want to know what intrigues you, what would really make you happy. Like, what would your ideal job be? Because it's almost like that coming back to family, right? Go travel, see people, meet new people, but come back for Sunday dinner. There's no Sunday dinner left anymore.
No, I agree.
Fucking great analogy, man.
Absolutely great analogy. Also think it's really funny that we keep saying, let's talk about things that are fun. And then we get to the dark side of society. But it's so easy to go there. And, I think it's good to talk about them.
The next thing I'd like to talk about is suicide.
Well.
Okay, let's not do that. Let's leave on a positive note.
Let's do that. Why don't we do our Netflix or what's going on in our viewing world?
Go for it.
Just since you mentioned Netflix, I have some news.
What do you got?
So somehow I convinced Brad to watch This Is Us with me, which is an amazing feat.
Jesus Christ.
And he calls it, as many people do, I'm sure, he calls it This Is Us because it's just a cry fest from start to finish. You would hate this show because
I would probably
you don't want to
like
watch something like it.
No, I would probably like it, but I just don't want to force myself to watch something that I know is going to make me cry every fucking week.
I literally, multiple times per episode, tear up, cry, and I find that the opposite of what you find it. I know you avoid that. I somewhat seek it out. It's therapeutic to me. I like to feel those feelings. They're not always bad tears, but man, it's funny. It's just constant welling of tears. So, I mean, I will say that Brad falls asleep a decent amount, but he likes the show. So I'm winning in that way because I'm like, yes, somehow I convinced you to watch this show with me. So that's what we've been watching. And I'm pretty hooked in it. I was done watching all the murder documentaries. I think I've had enough murder for a while, so I'll switch to something else.
So you had enough murder, and now you're just switching to crying over overly emotional crap.
Exactly, yeah.
Could you put a comedy special in your life? Is that possible?
Well, the other show we're still watching is The Break with Michelle Wolf. I'm not sure if you tried to watch it yet, but
I put it on my list yesterday because I kind of went down that rabbit hole of putting stuff on the list. So that's there. I'll try to watch a few episodes soon because I'm on a comedy kick right now.
Comedians in Cars?
So that's the one that really did it. Because I'm finding the thing I love best about watching Jerry Seinfeld talk to other comedians is kind of like when you and I sit down to talk about a podcast. It's about going through the process. It's like, okay, so what episode are we on? And then here's a note we're going to hit. Here's a note we're going to hit. I mean, it's thought out. And I think for me, comedy is mostly, like, my comedy is mostly just yelling out piss fuck shit and people laugh. So you kind of go with that shock sort of thing. But listening to Seinfeld talk about how it's so thought out, right? And he goes, okay, I've got this joke, but is that the funniest way to put it? And if I switch those words around, is it funnier? And if I take that part to the end, is it funnier? And then I started to notice, when I tell jokes, I do the same thing. I hear a joke from someone, and I go, man, that was funny. And then for a couple of days, I run it through my head, and I go, how could I word this joke better that it resonates with more people? Or, for example, I have a client that's a dentist, so I heard a joke about a doctor, but I switched it into sort of dental terms, so it would be funnier because it would relate to him better. And it worked
Yeah.
like a fucking charm. So going through that process of comedy, I find is helping me even with things like this podcast or even with things like relating to my clientele. It's just really cool. It's not
Oh, neat.
just jokes anymore. It's the process of the whole thing. So
Oh,
then
right.
I got on, man, I should watch more comedy specials. And I kept remembering, I heard of this girl, Eliza Schlesinger. I'm going to say that's how her name's pronounced. So she's a stand-up comedian of some acclaim, I guess. I've heard her on a few podcasts. Like, I think I've heard her on Doug Loves Movies before. But she had a Netflix special called Elder Millennial, which is funny because us being in our early 30s are still considered millennials. But like she says in this comedy special, we're kind of on the old end of the millennials, where we remember things like Blackberries and fucking even living without computers. I remember when we didn't have a computer. So
Right.
that's one I would recommend to people. For me, it was a little over the top in preachiness, I guess I'm going to say. She gets a little preachy about...
On her high horse?
Yeah, a little bit of that. And not in a bad way, but I think when I watch a comedy special, I'm almost just looking for jokes all the way through. This one was maybe a little too in the moment, talking about...
Okay.
I don't want to wreck anything, so I'm not really going to say it, but it was just a little too in the moment and a little too preachy at times. However, if you know that going in, I think it would be a really good thing to watch, not only to laugh for a while, right, for, what is this, an hour and 12 minutes, but also to get a little bit of a lesson. There's a couple of lessons in there that are
Okay.
nice. So I recommend that one, and then I'm going to watch another one of hers at some point.
I'm still recommending Jim Jeffries because
Yeah.
we actually do watch a lot of comedy. That's one of the things Brad likes to put on because I think it's not a long commitment and it actually, like you said, it feels like a good unwind, but like you've watched something that has a purpose.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, right? It's not just, it's not just like I don't want to say. I was going to say it's not like a diners, drive-ins, and dives where you just kind of sit there and watch.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's work that goes into putting that show together, too. Because I was going to say
Yeah.
comedy specials are so crafted out, but every show's crafted out. People put their lives into those things.
Mm-hmm.
You got anything else?
No, that's really all that we've been watching. I mean, once you get yourself hooked into a show, it's tough. I don't like jumping around too much because I tend to forget things if I don't stay on top of it. So we're kind of just watching This Is Us whenever we have time. And, I don't always have a ton of time for it. So it's a slow process. And there's a decent amount of seasons and episodes already. So it's a big commitment. But it's pretty much the kind of show that's made for a person like me. So I should just watch it and suck it up.
Suck it up. Okay, kid. I think we might wrap up there.
I think that's a great place to wrap up. I will go back to the office and you will go and enjoy the sun and the golf course.
I will go
and
eat
we'll
some
think about
food
who has a better life.
and have a better life for sure. Okay.
Okay, well, thanks for listening, everyone. And don't forget to send your feedback and your comments to our earlier questions to imperfectimagepod@gmail.com.
Oh my God, what a professional choice.